All right, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to add that leather texture to the handle. Now, when you go to textures.com, anything that has this symbol on it is for Substance Painter. It's supports Substance Painter, but it is a special type of texture that will add a whole lot of detail and displacement map. They also cost a lot of money on here. The other type are these ones which don't have it, and they are really, really useful, and we'll get to using those later. But for now, we just want a flat diffuse texture, which is something like this here. You want to find a seamless one, and I'm going to look for one that's kind of looks pretty leathery, that doesn't look seamless, not seamless. Most of these here should be seamless, so I might grab this one and click that. I probably don't want one with buttons on it. Download this here. All right, now going back to Blender, we're going to do this bit down the bottom here. And I'm actually not going to paint this one. Instead, the reason why I'm not going to paint it, and you'll see why, because I'll show you what will happen if I try to paint it. So if I go back to Layout and I select this and I go Texture Paint, and I'll just select create a new texture. Actually, it looks like it may well work. Let's do this, and I'll try and Texture Paint Material, Leather Strap, and we're going to load an image texture. Now, I think that I can actually, instead of texture painting it, I suspect I can just open that image texture, downloads, leather, textures.com, leather, and yes, it has put it on there, but it has kind of stretched it a little bit, which is not what I want, but it is kind of okay. I'm going to just go into edit mode and hit U, unwrap, and didn't really do much for it then. But that's okay because it's going to be quite small. And I'm going to apply the same material to the other one. So I'll go back to Layout and put this in Material mode and click this one. And go to Material. And now I don't need to make the material. It's already here, leather strap. I can select it and it's done. And then this bit in the middle, I'm going to make a material for this. I'm just going to call it handle. And I'm going to select an image texture. But I'm going to just select that bare metal texture that's underneath. In fact, I can probably just remove that and change that. Just click remove and put a base color of red down, a dark red. That's going to go underneath those things there. Now with these, what I want to do is right click and shade smooth, and it will make it look smoother. Now there's a few other things to do here, and this is where some experimentation comes into play. Okay, we're actually going to go and, actually we can't do the normal map, but we are going to grab the specular bit. You turn that down, you'll get it less shiny. If you turn the roughness up, it'll also be less shiny. And you can play around with some of these settings here. If you turn the metallic up all the way, the light reflects off it as though it's metal, which is really not what you want. I'm not sure that there's like a default thing where you can kind of select different surfaces. It doesn't look like there is, but you can play around with the surface color. Change that. That's a subsurface color for lighting. There's a lot of things you can do here. Some of them won't appear as though they do anything. So I'm not sure what that does. It seems to be changing something a little bit. I'm just going to put, if you put the specularity up, it'll be really shiny. If you put it down, you will get not a lot of shine on it. So I'm going to do that to there, and I'm also going to do it to the handle underneath. Okay, and that's going to give it looking like that. However, to this bit here, what I am going to do, I'm going to put this here into viewport shading. And that's all good. And I'm going to turn up the specularity on it. I'm going to turn up the metallicness on it. And if I zoom in, I'm going to turn the roughness down on it. Well, now, what's happened here is in here, there is this scene world. Okay, it kind of exists in terms of lighting. And you can pick a different one for it, but it's kind of an invisible scene that appears, and you can kind of use it to check reflections in the world. And so I've got this really shiny metallic sword that's happening now. And it looks pretty good. So from here, next video we'll look at adding the material to that there. But we've got this shiny metallic sword, and all of this is rendering in real time. We don't need to go into cycles or anything to see that happening. It's doing it right now. If there were other objects in the scene, it would also, it should reflect them. It should reflect any lights we have. So if I grab this light and if I go into scene view here, you see there's this light here, which I can move around, and I get these real-time shadows happening. I get the reflection of the light. I can play around with the radius of the light, how bright it is, how powerful it is, what color it is, does it cast shadows, and so on. And I can turn those on and off. But for just kind of test rendering, what you want to do is just muck around with these ones here under the scene world. You can play with the setting. You can click that and load up different kind of lighting and see what it looks like. You can get some, I mean, obviously this is not what it would be like in gaming. Game, it would reflect different things around it, the lighting that is around it, but it looks quite nice just testing it out like this. You can add this to this one as well. So I'm going to turn the metallic bit up on that and the specular up on that and the roughness all the way down. And that way that object will also reflect those invisible lights that we've got happening. So you can see what it looked like under different lighting conditions. This one is like inside a house. It's kind of outside in daytime. And make sure you save that. Make sure you go through and add all that stuff there. If you want to add in a different material on this object, say you want two on here, what I'm going to do with this, we go to materials, we'll scroll up. We're going to add another material here, and I'm going to call it, I guess I'll call it pommel. New, P-O-M-M-E-L. And I'm going to select the things that I want to assign it to, which is these ones down the bottom. I'll turn on X-ray, deselect everything, and then hit B and select those. I'll click Assign. Now that's got a different material applied to it, which I can go through and look at this. Now I could select the image texture, and I'll pick that metal texture. It's got this horrible seam right there. That's because this is not unwrapped. There we go. It's unwrapped now. And it doesn't look too bad, and I can play around with the metallic aspect of it, the specularity of it, the roughness of it. Now it's like shining chrome, but I'll make it a little bit less rough, so I'll get that cool burnished steel effect on that. Lots of cool stuff you can do. Play around with those settings and see what you come up with.